At number 5, it's sconcing. Originally, sconcing was a term developed at Oxford University during the 17th century, referring to a fine levied against students for a misdemeanor. However, over the years, the students adopted the concept of sconcing themselves. Someone could be sconced for a breach of etiquette, but instead of a fine, the offender had to down a beer in one go. This was done at the challenger's expense unless the offender couldn't finish the drink, in which case he had to pay for it. Common offences that were considered a breach of etiquette included topics such as religion, politics, and women. There was a time when only the senior scholar at the table could impose a sconce. Other members could bring offences to their attention only if they spoke in ancient Greek or Latin. Nowadays, sconcing is nowhere near as formal, and it's more of a party game. Today, someone stands up and claims that they sconce anyone who has done a certain activity. Anyone to whom the sconce applies has to drink. If the sconce applies to no one, everyone else starts crying shoo until the wannabe sconcer takes off their footwear, fills it with beer, and chugs from it. At number 4, it's pitch pot. Pitch pot, known as Taohu in Chinese, originated in ancient China sometime during the Warring States period. It later spread to Japan, where it was known as toko, and Korea, where it was called tuho. The basics of pitch pot involve throwing arrows into a pot. Players stand a set distance away from the pot, typically the length of 2.5 arrows, and take turns trying to throw the arrow straight into the pot. When a player scores a point, an entry, the victor presents the vanquished with a cup to drink. After the arrows are finished, both players kneel and the victor will once again refill the cup of the loser. If you want to stick to strict pitch pot etiquette, it is also considered polite to refuse to play the first time you are offered the arrows, as well as the second. It's okay to accept the third time. We know from ancient texts that tuho became very popular in Korea during the 12th century, when the Sung dynasty ruled in China. It was seen as part of Confucian culture and was heavily promoted. It became a favorite pastime of Korean royalty, but more importantly, it also became a game accessible to women who were forbidden to participate in most sports like it. At number 3, it's the fiddling cup. The fiddling cup was more of a puzzle than a game where, just like the wager cup, you had to find a way to drink without spilling any liquid on you. First appearing in 17th century England, the fiddling cup was made out of 3 or more cups clustered together and connected through various hidden holes on tubes. In order for someone to drink successfully from the fiddling cup, they would have to use all cups in a specific order so that they wouldn't spill the contents. Although simplistic in concept and design, the fiddling cup proved to be popular and paved the way for more complex puzzle vessels, specifically the puzzle jugs. These became a common occurrence in England during the 18th and 19th centuries. Even though puzzle jugs had more intricate designs and decorations, they still relied on the same concept as fiddling cups. A standard puzzle jug would spill if it was used as a regular jug. Instead, the drinker had to find a way to suck up the liquid through holes at the top using a tube hidden in the jug. At number 2, it's pennying. The origins of pennying are a bit murky, as both Cambridge and Oxford lay claim to its creation, providing yet another thing for the two universities to argue over. At first glance, pennying appears to be a simple concept where all you have to do is sneak a penny into someone's drink. That person is then obliged to finish the drink in one go in order to save the drowning queen, since British pennies have the Queen's face on them. In spite of its simple premise, pennying comes with a complex set of rules that must be adhered to in order to maintain tradition. For starters, would-be penniers are not allowed to participate unless they also have an alcoholic drink. Double pennying is not permitted, and if it happens, the second pennier must be the one to drink the beer. Alternatively, only one penny may be put in play in order to avoid people double pennying on purpose to get a drink. There was a time when people didn't have to consent to playing the game in order to participate. Just by attending Cambridge or Oxford you implicitly agreed to pennying, and if you refused, you encountered the scorn of the student body. That is why pennying has now been outlawed at several colleges at Oxford and Cambridge, since forcing people to drink was ruled a breach of conduct. At number 1, it's passatella. As drinking games progress and people get drunker, the chances of violence increase. In passatella, This was not only expected, but was considered an integral part of the game. The game originated in ancient Rome and remained a popular pastime for Italians over the centuries. It was played with a minimum of 4 players, although it could accommodate a lot more. The more players involved, the higher the chances of violence. The concept of passatella was to expose the inequality of life. That is why the first thing to do was to play a game in order to determine a boss and an underboss. Any game could be played as long as it had a winner and a runner-up, but card games or bocce were preferred out. Once there was a boss and an underboss, everybody chipped in to buy a round of drinks. The boss drank his and then offered the underboss a drink. Afterward, the boss offered drinks to all the other players that he wished, but before they could drink, they also had to get permission from the underboss. Both the boss and underboss could deny players the drinks that they paid for. Sometimes, they would also have to say why they denied a player his drink, which was usually done in the form of an expletive-filled rant. That only got more insulting as people got drunker. Naturally, certain players felt cheated, and more than one game of passatella ended in a fight. Radu is a history science buff with an interest in all things bizarre and obscure. Share the knowledge on Twitter or check out his website.